What's good, YouTube? So today I'm bringing you a breakdown of my trading day. Today was Monday, the start of the week, so I did start on the weekly time frame, and I wanted to bring you guys my breakdowns for Friday. I might be doing some more breakdowns now as I am trading a live account. Currently down on this account about $50. Or you could say $75 if you count the transfer fees. If I'm funding it, but yeah, essentially this is just a $500 deposit and it's currently sitting at $424. So like I said, roughly $75 down on the account, but that's completely workable. Yeah, and today we managed to make $30. The account was down because of my Friday, and I wanted to go over that with you all, but essentially I could just give you a quick summary. It was I'm not sure if it was a red folder day or not. I don't really check news as much as I should, but even then price was respecting my levels and I was just hesitant to take the trades, and then I tried to take the trade in the middle of the range, which I don't do. That's not a part of my process, and I was just essentially, it's because I had FOMO. Price had moved so aggressively that I didn't want to wait for the retest after the break, and I ended up taking a pretty big loss of something like $110. Ended up making like 100 of it back. Actually waiting for the retest play that I essentially kind of knew I would have to wait for if I were to continue to be a buyer after essentially missing the first setup. I didn't miss out, quote unquote, but I did hesitate on taking the position, and then price just moved so aggressively in like 3 candles to the upside that I wasn't even able to second guess it. There wasn't much of a retest on the situation, just a clear rejection of the support levels, which could be seen as an entry signal in itself. Maybe an aggressive one. You might want to wait for a couple rejections, but given where price was at pre-market, it really was like the last rejection that we kind of needed to say, okay, this level definitely wants to hold, and buyers have this level, right? But either way, so I made about 100 of it back, and I'm not gonna lie, guys, I was salty, so I tried to trade over the weekend Bitcoin, which was just low volatility, and my spreads with my broker were pretty rough, with the low volume and stuff like that. So I just kind of took like a couple $12 losses, about $30, but essentially we made that back today, and we're kind of back at where we were at the end of Friday, which is down about $80. Like I said, $75, but really 80 because I was at I had made $10 Thursday last week, so, and that was kind of just not me taking the day seriously, or I believe actually that was the last video I had posted, and yeah, so we did make a profit. Wi-Fi just went out there. Hopefully it doesn't do that too much, or at all. We can go for not at all, but anyway, so yeah, that was my Friday. Like I said, essentially the account is sitting at $424, as you can see. But numbers aside, because you can't get the numbers without the process, right? So today, like I said, we were able to make $30. Yeah, I would be up a little more if I didn't trade Bitcoin over the weekend, like I said I did. But I was like I said, salty about my Friday, because I felt like I should have made a good chunk of change Friday, but I had took a big loss at the beginning of the day, and so that cut into any profits that I could have gotten just because I got FOMO. So yeah, I traded Saturday and lost a little bit very minimum, and I don't trade crypto. I'm sure it probably moves fine during the week, but I wanted to make my money up like then and there, and the week was over, right? So either way, I found out that I don't like crypto on the weekends. And yeah, I figured it's all right. We'll make that back and maybe something a little more on US30, which is my main, pretty much the only thing I trade for real. And yeah, so that's what we did today. We essentially made that back, but it wasn't all like rainbows and sunshines, because I kind of got FOMO again here today. But we'll get into that. So I'll just go over the analysis and why, like how I got to that point. So yeah, essentially I'll move myself down here. I came to the weekly because it was the start of the week. I wanted to see how last week had closed off, and I also wanted to see just mark off my key levels, because I like to start fresh, clean charts pretty much all the time, just so I'm never like having too much extra stuff, and just paying attention to what kind of matters more or less right now. So that being said, as you can see, price is right around here, and we have resistance here up high right around the 40,000 level, and then we had support right down here, which also was previously resistance right around the 37.85 level, right? And then if we look a little lower, we had resistance as well at like the 37.45, and then 3700 kind of around that level. We didn't get any exact touches on the level, but we did get some touches on the zone in the past. If it shows, it should show. There we go, right? And then we came back above it, and there was a slight retest of the zone. So those were just kind of what I was seeing on the weekly. And ultimately, what I really cared about though, those key levels are important, but again, noticing that the weekly had last week had closed with a loss of momentum. We were pushing up, but then we came back down, ate up kind of a lot of that upward momentum and closed a doji. So that was something I was noticing on the weekly. Then coming into the daily time frame, just marking up some more key levels. Here's our 40k up here, and this is our first weekly low level here, in case that's hard to see. Yeah, so basically what I marked up here was this high that we had broke above. Clearly it was resistance, then we broke above it, bounced off of it, it was support, and then we came back up to this level and came down, and then even Friday came up and rejected this level. So I marked up that level, which was the 39.45, and I also marked up this level, which also we showed to be support, then resistance, and is now acting as support again. So that was the 39.50 level, right? And I also wanted to mark this next level of support that we could potentially see if we broke out below here, and that was the 38.5, right? So, and then also I marked up this upward trend line because we are kind of, we like I said, we do have upward momentum, but last week we kind of started coming down right towards the end of the week, so, and then consolidated the rest of the week. So it's like, is that momentum going to continue? Not sure if it's going to take us to the highs, but by drawing this trend line, we kind of have a dynamic support for the momentum that we're in, right? And so that was just something I wanted to mark up on the daily time frame as well. But essentially I'm kind of more bullish for the day just looking at that, but also looking at the weekly, I was thinking more sales because of how last week closed off. So let's go to the 4 hour and see if we can really form a thesis, because yes, the weekly showed a lot of lost momentum. The daily was showing kind of more bullish momentum, but we did have Friday kind of also lag on the momentum, right? And we were kind of trading for, again, that last week ended off just consolidating. So all that still in mind, coming to the 4 hour, I was thinking, okay, I was really thinking sells just because we have this trend line that we broke out of, right? But I had that marked from yesterday, and I just wanted more current like levels. So I ended up marking up this trend line here because we did get 3 touches, right? 1, 2, and 3 candle touches. So once we broke out of there, and I was noticing this, so right, from here I marked up this is the 39.50, so it was already marked. I believe the 39.45. I think we got that on the daily as well. So I think at this point wasn't too much I had to mark up. Like I said, I marked that 4 hour trend line there. And if I'm being honest, guys, yeah, that was it. But I did notice, I did notice this breakout, right? And so it was just a matter of kind of thinking like we could consolidate in this range for sure. We have resistance, we have support, and I kind of trade more off of that. And if it's a clear trend, that's great. But in moments like this, support and resistance are your friend. So now that we have all we could see from the 4 hour, we go down to the 15-minute. And at the time, price was right here, right? We were in this range. So I marked on the 15-minute because we had yet to break out. I marked these lows right here. This was the 39.170 level, and then I had marked these highs right here, and this is the 39.26 levels. And then here we also have the 39.2 level, as that was a previous level of resistance that became support, kind of. So and we were trading like around that level come the open, right? You can see right here we actually bounced off of that level at 8:30 or like at 8:15, right? So 8 o'clock to 8:15 we were bouncing off of that level, and I thought about getting in the buys then. So right, let's go down to the 1 minute, and essentially now it's pre-market. It was like maybe 4 or 5 minutes before the market opened, and I'm seeing this clean rejection here. This was way before the market. This was like when I initially did my pre-market analysis, but when I stepped back to the screen around like 8:20, I'd already seen that, okay, we were pushing off, and this was kind of a clear position that I was thinking about taking. I might have even caught this 3 soldiers pattern, or I think I was here for this engulfing even after the kind of doji at the bottom, or just a really low volume candle, right? No momentum in there, and then all of a sudden we get double the momentum to the upside off of support. I was thinking, okay, that's a potential buy. Definitely when I did my pre-market, I wanted to potentially buy here, but also it was just like right here at this doji, and followed by the engulfing. So like worst come to worst, entries like right here, and just take it to the next resistance for 3 times our risk, right? It's not a bad trade, and as you can see, that would have got hit before the open, literally. And then it was the opening candle that actually, so right here at 8:29 we broke out above resistance, then the opening candle came and rejected resistance, and I was thinking about taking that position, but I just didn't like the stop loss size on there. Right, stop loss below support, take profit the next resistance, and it was like a 1 to 3. It wasn't a bad position, but I just didn't want to take that risk, already starting at a deficit from last week. So essentially I waited and we got to the next level and essentially did the same thing, kind of break and retest play. This time I actually took it, I would call it FOMO, because I was also thinking price is high, I want to see it correct, and I didn't really kind of, okay, let's try this again. Right at this engulfing, I was thinking price is high, but maybe we could see a push up towards this resistance up here, this next level. Nothing too crazy. I wasn't going to try to actually target it, but ended up, as you can see, I got stopped out, which is okay, because like I said, I was already thinking price was high and I should just wait to see price come back, like maybe like a few touches. We had 2 bounces off of this level, but even having that second bounce after the first one kind of had me hesitant with price being high. I was like, okay, price clearly wants to test this level. So once we actually broke under, I got stopped out. In the same candle that I got stopped out though, I entered my sell position because this candle broke back below, and then we had an engulfing candle to the downside right afterwards. And so I took this position, and also at this point I did not mark this trend line, by the way, so just keep that in mind. I marked that up eventually when I was thinking of like how to do a trailing stop in case price wanted to come back up somewhere in the middle of the range. I was kind of skeptical, like when price first got to these lows right here, and that's when I kind of started drawing that trend line. As you can see, we had made a couple points, and so that's what I had. It was actually a little tighter because at that point we had not made this candle yet, and it was, so I drew it to touch this candle. I just had deleted it by accident just a little while ago, or I moved it to make it cleaner. And then I would move it back. I don't think it really matters, but so yeah, I was a little hesitant on holding this out even at this point, but I did hold it out for a little bit longer once we started breaking away, and I ended up closing the trade for like twice my risk, and so it was about like $80. And like I said, like after the $50 loss, we made like $30 for the day. I was targeting the next support level because that's how I trade, from zone to zone. And yeah, that would have been a great trade, but I figured after that last little impulse right there before the one that took us basically to take profit, that I was up good enough. I was up for the day, and I got FOMO on the buys, right? Because I had already told myself from the weekly that we were losing momentum on the buys, and I had more of a seller's bias. And looking at the 4 hour and knowing that we were in a consolidation range, kind of in confluence with the loss of momentum on the daily and the weekly time frames, it was telling me like, okay. And then also because we're at the high of this consolidation range, when I took that losing buy position, I was thinking definitely this is a great place for price to retest, right, and correct itself if it wants to do that. And yeah, that's what ended up happening. So when price did fall back below that level, it was just easy to take the sells from there. But yeah, that's kind of how my day went. Like I said, ended up making like $30 on the day. We could look over my trades. I have actually no problem doing that. And we'll look at just the trades from today. So as you can see here, I did take like this sell position earlier. I got out of it. I don't know why. Where did I take that? Right here. Okay, yeah, I took that off of this. That was this first rejection. I took the sell. As you can see, it was a bad sell anyway. Again, in the middle of the range for me, I kind of didn't like it, and I was thinking like, okay, we got to retest, but I kind of want a couple of rejections off of this trend line because it is in the middle of range, before I have confidence in it. And then we started getting that. But at this point, it's 3 o'clock. It's about the end of the day. 2 to 3, I was looking for positions. This happened around 2:51. So I didn't even really want to hold it. So once it went one candle in the profit, I'd close the position. And obviously, that was the right decision. But yeah, so that was that trade. So I ain't gonna lie, I cheated. I got a couple little extra dollars on my day. Yes, it went down $49 for the week, which is actually not bad, right? So plus the $25 in transfer fees, I'm only down what is that, $71 from my initial deposit, and we can make that, guys. We definitely can make that. So again, on today, we had lost $55, but we came back, made 83. We won't count that little last trade for real. So essentially $25 today, right? Not bad on a $500 or $400 account. And yeah, I just need to work on like just using my big brain sometimes, because taking the buy at the top of the range was just unlikely. And then also kind of like we could see this was a clear breakout. It was before my trading time. I didn't really want to take it, but maybe next time if I see a nice setup beforehand, I'll go ahead and take it, because had I gotten this position, it would have looked something like this. No, I would not have capitalized off of that entire move, but even at the latest point, had I got in like just right around here, my stop loss would have been below support, and I would have took profit at the first resistance for like 2.5 times my risk, and that would have been hit easily. And yeah, by the time market had opened anyway, we had already hit that at 829. So I could have been done for the day. And yeah, so maybe that's something I'll look into doing into the future, is just kind of going with the flow of things, and not trying to force anything, right? Because I did try to force that buy at the high, and I could have taken a couple positions like after that. Really, the buy at the high was I had lost sight of the fact that we are at the top of the range, and I was looking at that 40,000 level, and like I thought that was the top of the range, but that's the weekly range, so which could take days to get to, right? So yeah, that was kind of my fault. Either way it goes, I was able to make a profit today, and I got some good things I could take away. I feel like that will just help me tighten up my game, right? So hopefully that was informative. This video is kind of long. I try to keep them under 30 minutes. This is 22, so hopefully that is not too long for you. That is all I have for you guys though today. If you enjoy the video, leave a like. If you have questions, comment, and I'll see you guys in the next one.